والصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون والذين هم عن اللغو معرضون والذين هم للزكاة فاعلون والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين. فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون. والذات وعهدهم راعون والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون. أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون. ولقد خلقنا الإنسان من سلالة من طين ثم جعلناه نطفة في قرار مكين. ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. ثم إنكم بعد ذلك لميتون. ثم إنكم يوم القيامة تبعثون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. وصل اللهم على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
شاید یکی دو دقیقه دیگه زیارت عزیز الله انشاءالله با هم میخوام. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا حافظا وقائدا ودليلا وغيدا حتى تسكنه أرضك وتمتعه فيها طويلا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أمين الله في أرضه وحجته على العباد. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. أشهد أنك جاهدت في الله حق جهاده وغمرت بكتابه واتبعت سنن نبيه صلى الله عليه وآله حاج الله إلى جواره فقبضك إليه باختياره وألزم أعداءك الحجة ما لك من الحجج البالغة على جميع خلقه. اللهم فاجعل نفسي مطمئنة بقدرك راضية بقضائك مولغة بذكرك ودعائك محبة لصفوة أوليائك محبوبة في أرضك وسمائك صابرة على نزول بلائك شاكرة لفواضل نعمائك ذاكرة لسوابق آلائك مشتاقة إلى فرحة لقائك متزودة للتقوى ليوم جزائك مستلة بسنن أوليائك مفارقة لأخلاق أعدائك مشغولة عن الدنيا بحمدك وثنائك اللهم إن قلوب المخبتين إليك وسبل الراغبين إليك وأعلام القاصدين إليك ماضحا وأفئدة العارفين منك فازغا وأصوات الداعين إليك صاغا وأبواب الإجابة لهم مفتحا ودابة مدلوجك مستجوبا وتوبة من أناب إليك مقبولا وغبرة من بكى من خوفك مرحوما والإغاثة لمن استغاث بك موجودا والإعانة لمن استغان بك مبذولا وغداتك لعبادك منجزا وزلل من استغالك مغالا وأعمال الغافلين لديك محفوظا وأرزاقك للخلائق من لدنك نازلا وغبائل المزيد إليهم واصلا وذنوب المستغفرين مغفورا وحوائج الخلق عندك مرضيا وجوائز السائلين عندك موفرا وغضب أجب دعائي واقبل ثنائي واجمع بيني وبين أوليائي بحق محمد وغني قلبي فمذموم أنت إلهي وسيدي ومولاي اغفر لأوليائنا وكف غنا أعدائنا واشغلهم عن أذانا وأظهر كلمة الحق مجرى القلب اليوم وأدحض كلمة الباطل واجعلها السفلى إنك على كل شيء قدير.
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
If I could introduce Dr. Hussain to deliver the speech with a loud salawat by Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين المنتجبين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Life can be profoundly difficult. We have all had our experiences of going through tests and tribulations that we couldn't previously have even imagined. That their difficulty is such that we couldn't have perceived or anticipated so much strife and so much trouble. And for whatever difficulties we go through, whatever challenges we think that we've had to face, I guarantee you there are others who have had lives and had trials which are so difficult that we can't even begin to imagine what wavelength they operate on. We can't even begin to conceive that their best days, their happiest days, are not even close to our worst. And we are not children. We understand that this world can be tough. We understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us for the sake of testing us. We know this. And so we often prepare. We often fortify. We suspect that perhaps in a couple years' time, I will have a test from this angle. It's very common for people to have this kind of a test or that kind of a difficulty. And so we fortify. But alas, the nature of the tests in this world are unique. They do not always come from the angle that we anticipate. And whilst we may have fortified ourselves on the front, the test might come from behind or might come from beneath. So for example, we might be chasing after a certain career aspiration or trying to achieve something within our lives, and we have spent many years building on that foundation. We are on our way, a few more years of hard work, when suddenly we are struck with ailing health. May Allah protect us. And then everything we previously imagined that we could have accomplished suddenly comes crashing down. Whether it is a problem with our health or our job or our family or whatever it might be. And anyone who has looked at the biography of Imam Ali salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi will recognize that his life was full of tribulation. It was full of difficulties. And again, we cannot even begin to imagine how he navigated those turbulent seas. And we often, especially when we go through difficulty, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why me? It's a natural question. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He understands us better than we understand ourselves. And He tells us in the Holy Quran, He says that, do you expect to enter paradise without being tested like those before you? If Imam Ali alayhi salam had to go through so much difficulty, then who am I to escape it? And what Imam Ali alayhi salam teaches us through the art of his life, from his biography, is how to be a holistic, complete human being. That rather than having one particular strength and a major weakness in another, that we understand how we can build ourselves up to be the greatest mu'mineen, the most resilient, the most powerful, in a way that whatever difficulty comes, however much we are shaken, we are ready for it. Whatever angle, whatever direction, expected or unexpected. So inshallah, in tonight's discussion, I wanted to have a look at a few of the unique challenges that Imam Ali alayhi salam faced. And we talked last time about some of the antithetical qualities that Imam Ali has, that they are not often seen within one individual. And yet again, when we look at his life, we find countless examples of this. One of the first examples is at Da'watul Ashira. And in this, the Holy Prophet was commanded right at the beginning of his mission, right in the beginning of when he was told to proselytize to others, that he was supposed to invite his near kin. And some of the best descriptions of this, they come from Tarikh al-Tabari, in the 6th volume, in the English translation. And the Holy Prophet, he is ordered, as by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, Surah Baqarah, verse 240, to warn his near relatives. And so he gathers the people from Quraysh, including Abu Lahab, who was one of the leaders of Quraysh, also his uncle. After Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi had fed them, after they had been satiated by the meal that the Prophet provided, he wanted to give his message. He wanted to tell them about the glory of Islam. But Abu Lahab, he interrupted. And he warned his fellow Arabs. He said, whatever this man is about to bring you, I warn you in advance, reject it. Because if you even think about adhering to it, you will not only earn the ire and the anger of all of the Arabs, but you will have betrayed your own tradition and your own heritage. Somehow Abu Lahab, he had got wind of what was coming. And he tried to destroy and undermine the Prophet's message before he delivered it. And yet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he comes forward and he invites them. He says, I come and I give you the greatest gift you could possibly imagine. I come and I give you the greatest blessing that any prophet has been allowed to give to their nation. I come and I give you the good tidings of Islam. Now at this point, we have to understand the context, right? At this point, the only followers of Islam were a couple of people close to the Prophet and some people from amongst the poor. To the Arabs at that time, it seemed like a nonsensical idea. It seemed like something which came out of the darkness and it was about to go away again. It didn't look like it had any future. And then what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, what he said next was quite surprising. He said, who will come forward and support me on this mission? Who will be my brother, my wasi, and my khalifa? Again, these words are recorded in Tariq al-Tabari. And of course, who went forward? And in this particular tradition, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he's describing it. And he describes himself at that time, because he was very young, he described himself as the most bleary-eyed and the most thin-legged, referring to the fact that of all of the grandiose personalities that were there, of all of the great champions of Quraysh, none of them came forward. To them it didn't make sense. And yet Imam Ali alayhi salam came forward and gave his allegiance to the Prophet. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he said that you indeed are my brother, my wasi, and my khalifa. And what Imam Ali alayhi salam teaches us here is that we chase after higher values. We go after that which is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that is the ultimate, that is the universal. Then whatever the wants, the ever-changing, nebulous, fleeting wants of mankind, there is nothing compared to pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And indeed, as time would go on to show, this gift that Rasulullah had brought indeed was destined for greatness. But Imam Ali alayhi salam was there, right from the beginning, offering his support. And similarly, when we find ourselves in difficult situations and the prospects don't seem so enticing, we remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is on our side if we keep our niyyah pure. That was the first of the three events. And after a long time, after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi passed away, after he had delivered his message, the Muslim empire, it was struggling. There's no two ways about this. After the Khilafah of the first three Khalifs, particularly during the second half of Uthman's Khilafah, the whole Islamic structure was crumbling. And again, this is not a controversial fact of history. Uthman was very commonly, he would simply take people who were his relatives and he would put them in power because they were related to him. And as such, there was so much corruption within the Islamic framework around the place, so much so that not only was he murdered, but also there was chaos around. And in this context, the Muslims, they went to Imam Ali alayhi salam. We touched on this last time, but a few more details. They went to Imam Ali alayhi salam and they begged him to become Khalif. They begged him. And at this point, Khilafah was a poisoned chalice. Nobody wanted it at this point, not at that particular moment after the blood of Uthman had been shed. Even many of the companions who later on aspired for Khilafah, at this point they didn't. Imam Ali alayhi salam knew this, and he did not come forth to gain any power. So they said, and this is recorded by Ibn Athir in Tariq al-Kamil, Ya Ali, there is no one who has given more distinguished a service to Islam than you have. And there is no one who is closer to Muhammad than you, Ya Ali. We consider you to be the worthiest of all of the Muslims to be our Khalifa. SubhanAllah, if only they had thought about this slightly earlier. But alas, they come only when the ship is sinking. Imam Ali alayhi salam is reluctant. Ibn Hajar in Sawat al-Muhraka, he records that then the veterans of Badr went to Imam Ali and said, Ya Ali, we are the veterans of Badr, we beg you become our Khalif. They said, no one is more worthy of Khilafah than you. Put your hand out that we can give our pledge of allegiance to you, that we can become your subservient ones. Still Imam Ali alayhi salam is reluctant. This power which they fought for, this worldly domination, was worth less to Imam Ali alayhi salam in his own words than the sneeze of a goat. But alas, they go one step further, and now they try and guilt trip Imam Ali alayhi salam. And they say again, Tariq al-Kamil, we appeal to you in the name of Allah, take the Khilafah. Why? Because don't you see the state of the Ummah? There are perils rising everywhere. There is chaos in the lands of Islam. Who will keep them in check if not you, Ya Ali? And of course, Imam Ali alayhi salam's moral scruples would not allow him to abandon the Ummah. How easy it would have been. How easy if he said, this is your problem, you made this mess, leave me out of it. How many more years would Imam Ali alayhi salam have lived? How much more could he have given us? Yet, alas, he never shirks his responsibility, and he accepts the Khilafah. They all give their allegiance to him. But what makes Imam Ali alayhi salam so unique as a historical personality, amongst the countless accolades that he boasts, is his staunch opposition to any corruption. If something went contrary to the values of Islam, it didn't matter what it was, what situation Imam Ali was in. He didn't care. He was not going to leave the sunnah of Rasul al-A'adam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was going to stay loyal to these lofty values, independent of what was happening in the moment. And he immediately dismissed loads of these corrupt governors that Uthman had put in place, some of which there are lots of famous narrations about the strange things they used to do, such as leading salah while drunk. He got rid of all of them. And again, politically, this was a questionable move. Perhaps in order to establish his Khilafah, he could have bribed them, he could have continued them in their power, they would have supported him. But Imam Ali was not going to come down into their filth. He was not going to play their dirty game. He got rid of all of them. And he was so free from corruption, even when his own family members, even when Aqil, his brother, came asked for more than his fair due, Imam Ali alayhi salam said, no, I cannot give you a penny extra from the treasury. Give me a little bit of time, my share will come, and when it comes, I will give you part of it. Maybe it can give you some relief. Uncorruptible. On another occasion, Talha and Zubayr, two of the most prominent companions of Rasulullah, two of the instigators of Jannah. They come to Imam Ali because, again, they want extra stipends from the treasury. But this is Ali ibn Abi Talib that we're talking about. No one is going to get anything extra. And Imam Ali, he taught them with his actions, not with his words. So what happened? We read in Al-Ihqaq al-Haq that they entered upon Imam Ali alayhi salam. And when they walked in, Imam Ali, he was taking care of some of the affairs of the state. When he looked up, he realized that they had come for personal business. They wanted to speak to him as Imam Ali, not him as Khalif. Immediately he extinguished the flame. And he went to his house and he got another candle. And he lit that and used that as the light source. Talha and Zubayr were perplexed. What a bizarre move. That gave us no advantage. Why did you do this, Ya Ali? And he says, you have come for personal business. I will not burn a drop of the oil bought from the money of the people in order to attend to the affairs of Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the station of Imam Ali. Despite his situation being desperate, he did not give up on the values of Rasulullah. And of course, by this, they knew immediately they weren't going to get anything. And that's part of the reason that they joined the instigators of the Battle of Jannah. On another occasion, there's quite a beautiful tradition in Ansab al-Ashraf that one of the members of the public of the Muslims went to the son of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And they saw that these two Imams, they were eating very, very simple foods. They were eating bread, drinking water, and a small amount of salt. And he said, this is not fit for you. You guys are the sons of the Khalifa. Why are you eating something so simple? And they looked at each other, almost amused, and they said, of course, you have never met my father, Ali ibn Abi Talib. If you had met Imam Ali, it doesn't matter whether he's the Khalifa, it doesn't matter what position he has. These are the standards of Imam Ali, and he stays consistent to them. And when we go through difficulties, especially when we stumble, and that's when it's most difficult, there are times when things are going our way that we can stay to the principles of Islam. Right? We can sacrifice a bit of money when things are easy. But when things get tough, that is when the trial really comes. Will we still stay true to the value, or will we start to erode them away? when we start to do something that Rasulullah or Imam Ali would not approve of? And if we do, can we really call ourselves Shia of Ali Muhammad? And the final test, unique test that we find that faced Imam Ali alayhi salam was his own knowledge. This arguably, and there's so many ways to look at the life of Imam Ali, but this perhaps was one of his most severe trials. It's unusual. How is it that Imam's knowledge is so great a trial? When we look at Ahlul Bayt and we talk about infallibility or we talk about them as role models, sometimes we say, well, it's a little bit difficult for me to follow in the footsteps of Imam Ali, right? Because Ali is Ali, Muhammad is Muhammad, peace be upon them all. How am I supposed to follow in their footsteps? I don't have the knowledge they have. But alas, their knowledge was part of the biggest trial. Because they knew what was going to happen, but they had to follow the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he alludes to this in Nahjul Balagha. He says, I have hidden knowledge so profound that if I was to reveal it to you, you would tremble like the ropes at the bottom of a deep well. Meaning the information he had to offer was such that it would literally blow the minds of anyone who tried to understand it. This was the level he was on, far above anyone who was around him. Ibn Muljim comes to Imam Ali alayhi salam amongst the many who wanted him to become Khalif. And he gives his allegiance to Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam looks at him. He knows. He knows that the man he's looking at right now is his own killer. And he calls Ibn Muljim back. Everyone else has given their allegiance. They go. He said, oh, Ibn Muljim, come back. I want you to promise me. Make sure that you don't give in to treachery. Ibn Muljim, he thought it was a little peculiar, but he said, of course, Ali, I've given you my bay'ah. Enough is enough. So Imam Ali lets him go. He walks away. Again, Imam Ali calls him back a third time and says, oh, Ibn Muljim, make sure that you adhere to your oath. Ibn Muljim, now he gets a little irritated. And he says, Ya Ali, there's so many people here, you haven't called anyone else back but me. What is going on? Imam Ali alayhi salam, at this point, he says something truly profound. He didn't answer Ibn Muljim, but instead he recites some verses of poetry. He says, I want his friendship, he wants my death. The one who makes excuses for you is from your friends from the tribe of Murad. He then says to Ibn Muljim, go. I know you will not keep your promise. And why is Imam Ali alayhi salam doing this? Yes, number one, he knows that this man will deprive the Muslim ummah of his knowledge and of his wisdom. But at the same time, he is concerned for Ibn Muljim himself. What a crime he is going to take on his shoulders. What a sin he is to bear. And Imam, within the boundaries of what Allah has allowed, is giving him the opportunity to warn Ibn Muljim again and again and again. But yet such is the burden of knowledge. Imam Ali alayhi salam knew, but he could not go any further. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, he would go out. He knew that he was this fountain of knowledge for the Muslims. And we desperately all needed him. And he would almost beg the people, Saluni qabla an tufqidun. Ask me before you lose me. For he knew that his time in this world was not going to continue for much longer. That these doors of knowledge, the door to the city of the knowledge of the Holy Prophet, was about to close. For Imam Ali alayhi salam, he nears his demise. The world is going to lose its most erudite scholar. The world is going to be orphaned from Imam Ali alayhi salam, and we will lose the brother, the wasi, and the khalifa of Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, come and see what your ummah did to your khalifa, what it did to your brother. The perfect man who lived the perfect life had to have the perfect death. And it was in sujood, in the masjid, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he was struck from behind with the poisoned blade by Ibn Muljim. He collapses in the mosque and he is taken back to his house. He is carried by Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain alayhimus salam until they take him up to his bed. They lay him down and they call for the physician. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he's going in and out of consciousness. They bring Ibn Muljim to him. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he looks at Ibn Muljim, and even in this state he feels sorry for him. And he says to Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain, go to the bonds that hold his wrists and his legs and loosen them because he looks uncomfortable. And make sure that he eats of the food that you eat and he drinks of the drink that you drink. They say, Ya Ali, this is your killer. He says, it doesn't matter. He is a human being. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he then turns to Ibn Muljim, but oh Ya Ali, you had this compassion for the prisoner that you took who had wronged you, and yet when your children were to be taken prisoner in Karbala, the bonds would be so tight they would cut through the skin of the wrists and of the neck. There would be no rahmah of Imam Ali in Karbala. Imam turns to Ibn Muljim, says, Ibn Muljim, what did I do wrong? Please tell me, where did I fall short? Was there any blessing I denied you? Did I not give you preference? Why have you done this to me? Ibn Muljim searches himself for the answer. He can find none. And in seeing Imam passing away, he himself begins to cry about what he has done. Imam Ali alayhi salam, his companions begin to come. And they're hoping that maybe Imam can survive. Maybe after this he will live. But Ibn Muljim says, this poison I purchased for 1,000 gold pieces, and I bathed it in this sword for 3 days. And when the physician looked at Imam Ali, he says there's no chance of his survival. One of the companions of Imam Ali, Habib ibn Amr, comes. He sees Imam Ali alayhi salam on his deathbed. He says, Ya Ali, maybe you will survive this. Maybe we can have you for a bit longer. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he declares there in front of everyone that no, this is my final illness. I will depart this world. Kulthum, one of his daughters there, begins to cry openly. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, oh Kulthum, don't cry. She says, Ya Ali, how can I not cry? But O Kulthum, dry those tears, for soon you will be in Karbala, where you will see far more than the death of one infallible. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, do not cry for me, because now I see something which if you were to see, you would not mourn. They said, Ya Ali, what is it that you see? He says, oh Habib, I can see the angels of the heavens coming and welcoming me. I can see the prophets of old coming forward, sending me their salams. And I can see my dear brother Rasulullah sitting near me, saying, Ya Ali, come to us, for we have missed you. And Ya Ali, what we will have for you is far greater than what they have left for you. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he approaches near the end of his life. One of his other companions, Al-Asbagh, comes to see him. Imam Hassan says, no, he has minutes left. He's about to leave this world. We need this time as a family. Al-Asbagh says, oh, Imam, I wish to leave, but my legs don't listen to me. How can I depart when I have not seen Amir al-Mu'mineen one final time? They take Al-Asbagh in. He sees Imam Ali alayhi salam. He narrates that Imam Ali had a yellow turban on his head, but he had become so pale. He was looking so ill, so moribund, that I could not tell where the turban finished and where the skin of Imam Ali began. You could not differentiate between the two. He throws himself on Imam Ali and he begins to wail, he begins to cry. He says, Ya Ali, what will we do without you? Imam says, don't cry for me, O Asbagh. For now, when I close my eyes, I can see my brother Ja'far. I can see my uncle Hamza. I can see my brother Rasulullah. They're all saying, Ya Ali, hurry up. We've missed you for so long. We want you. And Asbagh says, Ya Ali, I know your destination is paradise. I do not cry for you, Ya Ali, but I cry for us. What are we going to do without you? Imam Ali alayhi salam, he's coming towards the end of his life. He's taking his final breaths. He recites from the Quran, Inna Allaha ma'al ladina attaqaw wal ladina hum muhsinun. And his soul leaves his body. Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, they wash his body, they do the ghusl, and they take him towards his funeral. But alas, all of this respect, all of the eulogies, all of the respect to the body of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Ya Ali, come to Karbala. See what your ummah did to the bodies of your children. They left the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the sands of Karbala. They didn't even spare Ali al-Asghar, and they didn't have a ghusl or a kafan, and they were left under the sun for 3 days. La'natullahi ala qawm al-zalimin.
اللهم صل على فاطمة وعليها وعلى وبنيها سر المستودع فيها وعدد ما وحاط فيها يا رب الحسين هب الحسين اشف صدر الحسين بظهور الحجة يا رب الحجة هب الحجة اشف صدر الحجة بظهور الحجة اللهم الحجة ابن حسين صلواتك عليه وعلى آله في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أبدة وتمتعه فيها السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان أجرك الله يا مولانا يا ای وارث فرق شکسته عزادار غم مولای خسته تو امروز بیقرار و دل غمینی عزادار امیر مومنین آقای من آقا صاحب ازای مجلس ما امام زمان
تو امروز بیقرار و دل غمی عزادار امیر المؤمنین بمیرم آقا جان نشسته بر سرت گرد یتیمی امان از درد ماتم امان از ماتم و درد یتیمی یا صاحب ازان صاحب زمان یا روزه میخوام شب برام خوشبال اون گوشی که میشنوه صدای ناله آقاشون صدای روزه آقاشون میشنوه آخ بگو از غصه های جانکاه کوفه بگو از روزه های شاه کوفه به سینه ماتمی از کوفه داری هم از کوفه هم از آن کوچه داری در اینجا فرق تا ابرو شکسته در آنجا سینه و پهلو شکسته در اینجا ناله میزد او شبانه سردت شاه میکرد آقا ناله میزد درد دل کرد چی بود در اینجا ناله میزد شبانه آخ که غلفت زد به زهرا غلا ای چاه یارم را گرفتن گلم باغم بهارم را گرفتن میخوای بگم علی رو کجا کشتن میان کوچه ها با ضرب سیلی همه دار و ندارم را گرفتن که گفته مرتضی را زخم سرکوش آخ علی را در مدینه میخ در کش یا زهرا علی را در مدینه میخ در کش یا صاحب زمان معذرت میخوام اینجور روزه میخونم روز شهادت امیر المؤمنین آقا جان میخ در سینه میرفت و صدا میزد بیا وای فزه تو بیا محسن دگر پرپر شده بود در پشت در تک و تنها بدون یاوری ناله یا فاطمه در کوچه ها غوغا شده آره همون روز علی رو کشتن روزی که جلوی چشمانش به خانمش جسارت کردن برگردیم کوفه روز شهادت مولاست هر بار بر مراسم خود دست میکشید موی سفید مادرم آید به یاد من حرفی نمیزنی فقط گریه میکنی امشب برس عزیز دل من به داد من زینب داره قبض رو میشه آقا جان مانند موی خیش دلم را به هم نریز خون شستن از سرت چقدر کار میبرد آن شب بگو چرا وسط غسل مادرم دیدم که فز پارچه بسیار میبرم همه تونه به روزه این خودت گریز روزه رو برو پا بر زمین مکوب دلم شور میزند ماندم که زهر با جگر تو چه کرده است مرهم برای زخم تو درمان نمی شود شمشیر با شکاف سر تو چه کرده است شمشیر با غلاف که فرقی نمی کند هر دو برای زخم زدن ساخته شدن در کوچه دست مادر و در کوفه فرق تو اینها برای کشتن من ساخته شدن آی ناله دارم اما میان همه ابزارهای جنگ بر خنجری که کند شده اکتفا کنن بریم کربلا یا الله آداب ذبح را که رعایت نمی کنن آنقدر میزند که سرت را ای شب امیرالمومنین چقدر آرزو داشتیم همچی شبی نجف روزه میخوندیم مقابل ایمون تنات مینشستیم آقا همه دور بسترش جمع شدن حلقه زدن روزی طبیب مریض خونه امام مجتبی رو جواب کرد آقا دیگه فایده ای نداره وصیتاشو کنه هر کی اومده بود ملاقات به دستور امام حسن بچه یتیما با کاسه های شیر اومده بودن ملاقات برای اینکه دل ای بچه‌هانش کنه فرموده بود حسن جان یه ظرف بزرگی تهیه کن همه این کازهای شیر و درون ظرف خالی کن اگه بناز جرعه‌ای بنوشم از سهمیه همشون باشه قربونت برم آقا جان نکنه یتیمی دلش بشکنه بگه علی از شیر من نخور همه رو درون یه ظرف جمع کرد اما دیگه تبابت با شیرم جواب نداد امشب شب یتیمی ارباب بمونه امشب خودمونم یتیم میشیم مگه نفرمود انا و علی و بابا امشب یتیمان ناله بزن همه رفتن دور بستر علی رو مهارم گرفتن امام مجتبی داره گریه میکنه سید الشهدا از همه بیشتر دست حسینش رو گرفت صدا زد یا بنی اصبر حسین جان انت شهید و حاضر امه دلا رو ببریم کربلا حسین جان قربون اسمت برم که از هر جا میریم نام تو ختم کلو آقا جان در خونه خدا که میریم باید اسم شما رو ببریم من اراد الله بدا بکن حسین شاروم کرد نوبت رسید به زینب بابا گریه‌هاش رو کردن اما اونی که زینب سوال میکنه یه چیز دیگه است میخواد ببینه از این دفتر بلا چقدر سهم زینبه گفت بابا ام ایمن برام یه حدیثی رو نقل کرده از دولت پیغمبر شنیدم کربلا من و حسین رو از هم جدا میکنه حسین رو میکشه این حدیث درسته یا نه این که زینب ندونه نه این از باب سؤال عارفه نه این که عقیله بنی هاشم ندونه نه از 4 سالگی پیغمبر براش گفته بود کربلا رو مادر زهرای مرضیه بهش گفته بود پیراهن رو به زینب داده بود این از باب سؤال عارفه از زبان لسان الله ناطق باز بشه جلوه هم علی برای زینب بگه از کربلا بابا حدیث ام ایمن صحیحه یا نه فرمود آری حدیث ام ایمن صحیح دخترم اما من بهش اضافه کنم زینب نه تنها حسین تو میکشم نه تنها تو را از حسینت جدا میکنم بلکه یه روزی میاد تو رو با لباس اسیری وارد همین کوبه میکنم حسین امشب علی بوسید چشم مست عباس دست حسینش را سپرده دست عباس بغضه شدی شب برات خوندم حرف امشب من یه چیز دیگه امشب سخن از هر دری میگفت مولا قطعه پیکری میگفت مولا 21 سال گذشت از این خبری که امیرالمومنین داده بود. مثل روز 12 وارد کوفه شدن، بیوی شروع کرد به خطبه خوندن، نفسات تو سینه حبس شد، زنگ اشترا از نوا افتاد. همه گفتن یا للعجب صدای علیه. شروع کرد به خطبه خواندن، کسی حتی نمیتونه نفس بزنه. تصرف تکفیری زینب همه رو اسیر کرده، همه دارن گوش میدن. پرده محملش هم افتاده. یه وقتی از تو جمعیت که همه ساکت بودن، یه وقت همه ای به پا شد. ظاهرا کسی دیگه گوش نمی کنه. خدایا کیه تصرفش از تصرف زینب بالاتره؟ کیه اینجا اومده تصرف زینب رو به هم زده؟ پرده محمل رو کنار زد، دید سر بریده برادر بالای نیزه. مردم دارن با انگشت نشون میدن. اگه امشب گریه نداری، ناله نداری، ضرر کردی. امشب شب گریه است، التماس کن از چشمات. فتلک العلامت خدا رحمت کنه آیت الله بهجت رو. روایت رو میفرمود، میگفت عشق جاری بشه این علامت. معلومه بهت اسم دادن، اجازه دادن اسم تو نوشتن. بمیرم همه سادات پرده رو کنار زد، سر بریده رو بالای نیزه. اونم سری که شب قبلش تو تنور خولی بوده، شروع کرد با این سر بریده حرف زدن. اول گفت یا هلال لما استتم کمالا. میدونی چرا؟ آخه فاطمه بنت الحسین تو بغل زینبه، نمیخواد این دختر متوجه سر بشه. جوابی نیومد. صدا زد ما تبرم یا شقیق فادی. آی پاره قلب زینبم، باورم نمیشه. من برام گفته بود، بابام علی برام گفته بود با لباس اصیلی وارد کوفه میشم، اما دیگه هیچکی نگفته بود سر تو رو بالای نیزه میبینم. ای حسین سری به نیزه بلند است، در برابر زینب. خدا کند که نباشد سر برادر زینب. خدا کند که نباشد سر برادر زینب. صلی الله علیک یا مظلوم یا ابا عبدالله. و سیعلم الذین ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. يا علي 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 يا
يا علي 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 يا وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا ربيع اليتامى وداعا ربيع اليتامى وداعا بفقدك صرنا نعيش الضياع إذا كسر الدهر منا الشراع سيغرقنا الظلم يدلو ظلاما وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي بك الموت يا واحد الحرب دانا فكيف دنا منك يا ملتجانا رجوناه يا موت خلي أبانا ولكن أبى فافتدونا يتامى وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي أتينا لنمسح دمع الزكي يراك طريحا برأس دمي فما قيمة العمر بعد علي فما قيمة العمر بعد علي نعاك فنحنا نعيد الكلام وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي وداعا 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 علي تورمت من سم رجس عنيد فجينا نصبر قلب الشهيد تمنى قبيلك حز الوريد وأن لا يراك جرعت الحمام وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك أبا العطف مهلا إلى أين ذاهب وبالنحش تمسك أم المصائب هوت عند رأسك والقلب ذائب من الرزء لا تستطيع القيام وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك دعتك أبي والعيون جليا بسيف الخوارج تلقي المنية عجيب أودع غدا خارجيا عجيب أودع غدا خارجيا عدو لراحلي يقود الزمام وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك وذي أم كلثوم نادت أجبني أبي من يرد الأعادي عني لأني بنتك يضرب متني ورأس الحسين يسير أماما وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك وداعا 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 عليك
استخون توی گلوها تو چشماش بود ولی لحظه لحظه ها شاد زهراش بود یاد جای تازیونه رو دستاش بود رو دستاش بود استخون توی گلوها تو چشماش بود ولی لحظه لحظه هاش یاد زهراش بود یاد جای تازیونه رو دستاش بود دو دستاش بود. علی راحت شد از غم و دردا، با دل خون شد راهی از دنیا، راهی از دنیا. فاطمه سینه میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. فاطمه سینه میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. فاطمه سینه میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. فاطمه سینه میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. مسجد و محراب و منبر خدا حافظ، سلمان و مقداد و قنبر خدا حافظ. عالم یتیم حیدر خدا حافظ، حیدر خدا حافظ. اومدن اهل عالم لاهوت، اومدن اهل عالم لاهوت، دور اون قبر زیر این تابوت، زیر این تابوت. زینب ناله میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. زینب ناله میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. زینب ناله میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. زینب ناله میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. بی کسی قربتش از رفتنش پیداست، آسمون گواهه که چقدر علی تنهاست. حتی تشبیه جنازش مثل زهرا، مثل زهراست. رفت و لبریز شد کاسه صدرش، رفت و لبریز شد کاسه صدرش. شریح زهرا مخفی قبرش، مخفی قبرش. حسن سینه میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. حسین سینه میزنه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا، وا ویلا. حسن سینه وا علیا، وا علیا، وا علیا. حسین سینه حسین یا زهرا 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 محمدا 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 یا زینب 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 یا عباس یا عباس یا عباس یا عباس نه این که دست تو باشد نه این که دست من است حسین گفتن ما از عنایت حسن 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 السلطان بالحسن السلطان بالحسن السلطان بالحسن آقا بیا 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 آقا بیا
امیر الحق امیر امیر المؤمنین تو خدایی یا بشر حیدر نه آبی تو نه اینی تو تو را خواندم در آتش تو را خواندم بی همتا و رقصیدن در آتش علی تقصیر اینان چیست وقتی این چنینی تو زبان شاعرانت میشوم میپرسم از حق چگونه آفریدت کین چنین شور آفرینی تو گواهی میدهد خاتم که خاتم بخش عشاقی الا یا ایها الساقی سخاوت را نگینی تو من از میلاد تو در کعبه از معراج دانستم علی آسمان ها اوست اعلای تو را نفس نبی خواندند و حیرانم قدیر خود امیر است تو امیری تو امین است تو امینی تو من از گمراهی بعضی به حیرت آمدم آخر گواهی داد حتی دشمنت که بهترینی تو آقای من فقط بر لا فتا الا علی باید پناه آورد چو بالا سیف الا ذوالفقار کمینی تو علی جان در ایمان و نبرد و هر فضیلت اولین هستی در ایمان و نبرد و هر فضیلت اولین هستی، فقط در بازگشت از جنگ حیدر آخرینی تو. به جای حیرت رو باید که شیر کربلا باشد، اگر استاد پیکار یل ام المؤمنینی تو. امیدت شاید از این چاه کندن آه روزی بود که از نخلی برای کوثرت خرما بچینی تو. آقا جانم تو را با دستهای بسته می بردم، می پرسم دلیل خلق عالم، پس چرا تنها ترینی تو؟ دلیل خلق عالم، پس چرا تنها ترینی تو؟ فراری های خیبر پیش یک زن نرزن، اما بمیرم فاتح خیبر بلاگردان دینی تو. چه حکمت هاست در این قصه ای مولای نازک دل، که هر روز این در و این کوچه را باید ببینی تو. که هر روز این در و این کوچه را باید ببینی تو. یمین را می شمارم تا 110 میرسم، یعنی که معنای یمین مولای اصحاب الیمینی تو. تو فاروقی، تو فرقانی، تو میثاقی، تو میزانی، صراط المستقیمی تو، امام المتقینی تو. قسیم النار والجنت، امیر هیبت و غیرت، امانی تو، امینی تو، علی حسن حسینی تو. تو شیر حق، تو کراری، ولی الله و قهاری، در علم نبی و نفس ختم المرسلینی تو. ید الله و سیف الله، روح الله، سر الله، امین الله و یأسونی و حبل المتینی تو. مع الحق و وجه الله، نور الله و عین الله. چه میماند دگر از حق، همین است و همینی تو. همه یک سو تویی ساقی، تو در عین البقا باقی. علی عین الحیاتی تو، علی عین الیقینی تو. خراب آباد شعر من کجا ناز قدم هایم، خراب آباد شعر من کجا ناز قدم هایم. چرا این گونه شاه ها با گدایان می نشینی تو؟ چرا این گونه شاه با گدایان می نشینی تو؟ الحمدلله الذی جعلنا من المتمسکین بولایت مولانا و مقتدانا امیر المؤمنین. همین است و همین است و همین است. فقط حیدر امیر المؤمنین است. به فاطمه و ابیها و بعلها و بنیها و سر المستودع فیها یا الله
یا الله یا الله یا الله یا الله یا الله یا الله یا رحمان یا رحیم یا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك واكفنا يا قاضي الحاجات يا كافي المهمات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم اجعل محيانا محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتنا ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم لا تفرق بيننا وبين محمد وآل محمد. اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم أغنى كل فقير. اللهم اشفع كل جائع. اللهم اكسو كل أريان. اللهم اقض دين كل مدين. اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب. اللهم رد كل قريب. اللهم فك كل أسير. اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين. اللهم اشف كل مريض. اللهم اشف كل مريض. اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم عجل وليك الفرج والعافية والناس واجعلنا من خير أعوانه وأنصاره وشيعته والمستشهدين بين يديه. مهمان کنیم همه گذشتگان رو، اموات رو، اموات جمع حاضر، ذوی الحقوق، بیوارثا، بدوارثا، شهدا، اونایی که تو راه دفاع از حریم ولایت جون دادن. انشاءالله همه مهمان باشن سر سفره سید الشهدا و آقا امیر المؤمنین. بخوانیم رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحه مع الاخلاص قبله الصلوات.